So hi, welcome to the Good Noise Podcast with Sage Weeber from Point North. We're going to ask him some questions today. I'm going to start. So what inspired the creation of the band, and what does the band name mean?
So I guess the creation of the band started from Andy and John. They grew up together in El Segundo, like South Bay, Hermosa Beach area, playing in bands. Literally, I think before at Point North, they were in like probably like I jokingly will say like 10 to 20 bands.
Holy shit.
They like, and that's like metaphorical, but they were in they were in a bunch of bands for so long, and they grew up playing music together, and and then I think Point North is just one of those bands that I guess like stuck, and like they got the right pieces of the puzzle together, and the name Point North, it originally started from, I remember the previous members that were in the group and the guys. This is before I was in the band. I didn't join the band until about the retrograde era. I was part of the writing and the recording of it, but I remember if I remember correctly, Point North they had like a list of like 15 different names, and they all thought Point North was the best one, and then they thought about it, and they realized that Point North for us is a vessel to bring positive light into the world, whether it's through our music or our charity donations or whatever we decide to do. It's kind of it means like moving forward in the world and being the best person you can be and helping everyone around you. So it's just kind of pointing north and moving forward and being that positive arrow, Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Cool.
I love that.
Awesome, cool. Yeah. I'm glad that was better than some like oh, it's just a random name we picked, but no, it had a meaning to it. So.
All right.
Sick. All right. So congrats on your newest release, Brand New Vision. How do you feel about the response to it so far?
It's been insane. It's kind of crazy because it's been such a long time coming. We've been prepping for this album, I think, since Retrograde had come out. Retrograde was already out, and we spent since like I think April or May of 2019 just like doing demos and stuff like that. And the reception has been honestly like insane. We knew it was gonna do like we knew it, like people were gonna like it, But I feel like with this release, it's just kind of solidified that like, oh wow, like people already like love this. I think we're already like at like 8 million, around 8 million streams already for the album, and like
what?
it's insane. And so it's like I said, it just blows our minds. And we did a live concert that did really well, like a live stream concert that did insane, and it just like the reception of it makes us realize like, all right, cool, like we feel like we're doing something right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
This feels like we're doing something that is so it's worth it. Like our efforts are showing, minus kind of everything that's going on. So, yeah.
Yeah. Wow, congrats on that.
Yeah, congrats. I was at that live stream show. I tuned in after work. It was very good.
Oh, sick! Thank you. That was fun. We hadn't played a show in a long time, so we were all sweaty and like.
Yeah, John kept bitching.
Yeah.
The sweat.
Well, he wore a sweater, so that was it. That's his fault,
Yeah.
But I had the pyro sparklers next to me, and they would like they would like the technicians at the venue were like, they're not gonna hurt, it's not gonna be hot, it's not gonna burn you. And Andy and I were like, that shit was like I would play and I would get like jolted in the neck by a spark, and like,
damn.
Yeah, it was super hot. But no, I'm glad you enjoyed that, man. I appreciate it.
So can you tell me a little bit about your writing process for this record and how it's changed since those first couple releases?
Honestly, we kind of have like 3 different phases of the writing process. If you want me to kind of start from like the beginning to like the end of the writing process, like, is that cool? So in the beginning, I think the song that kind of started the album mindset was our song "Personal." I think that song has been out like in our demo little world for like so long. And then it was "Personal" and "Epilogue," and I was on tour with this guy named Andy Black last year.
I saw you on that tour too.
Oh, sick! What spot? Do you remember what it was?
I was at Asbury Park.
In New Jersey.
Yeah, at Asbury Lanes or whatever it was.
Yes. Oh, I remember that show. Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome. Anyway, so I was on that tour.
Mm-hmm.
John and Andy had created these demos. They were just like, hey, like we had these demos of basic rough ideas. They weren't songs. It wasn't songs because we weren't all in the room together, but it was ideas, and it was Personal, Apolog, and Into the Dark were like the 3 songs that really kind of like here's what it is, and so not to ramble, but so it's the writing process is kind of, it can either be John has an idea and he'll just one day like sit in his studio all day and be like at home and be like, okay, like I have this idea, here's like a rough draft of it, and then John and Andy and I will all come in together and do our own personal touches on it. Or there's some songs like A Million Pieces is a prime example of, we set a day to all get together. We had no idea what we were going to do or write. We just knew we wanted to write. And with A Million Pieces, it kind of started out with, excuse me, we cracked open a session, and this is very like, we're still writing cohesively, but we're in a studio together. So I remember Andy sat down on a keyboard and he wrote like he just like was toying around with ideas, and we'll pick like a tempo that we want to write a song in, and a key and a vibe. That's kind of how we start. And A Million Pieces was an example of how Andy like sat down and figured out this piano part, which was the piano part to A Million Pieces, and then we found out the chords, and then we kind of just built on that, and then at the end of the day we had the full song, which is super cool. Wow. And then so it all kind of depends. It's either like John one day will like get bored and be like, hey, like I have this cool idea, you know, and here's what it is, like let's do something with it. And there was a couple times it was mainly on Retrograde, like songs like Wasted Art and stuff like that, where he like just did the whole song himself, and he was like, I wrote this, like what do you guys think? And then I go in on it and I do my thing like with the drums, and it kind of adds a new light, and then Andy will come in and do his own thing. So it's kind of all over the place, but at the core it honestly starts with John and Andy, and then I come in and do my thing. So yeah, I know that's very big, but yeah.
I like it. I like how you guys like pick the vibe and the tempo that you're gonna write the song in, and then go from there.
We'll like listen. I know too, if we're gonna have like a writing day, like we did a super sick writing day yesterday with this EDM artist named Keizo. So we all like the morning of, like I'll crack open Spotify and like try to catch the vibe of how the mood is we're going about, and then we'll pick a tempo and we'll just kind of let it flow out, and then that's how you get songs like Into the Dark, or that's how you get songs like Never Coming Home, or Gasoline is a prime example of that, you know. And so yeah, it's kind of it's a unique little thing.
Yeah. All right. So where was your headspace while creating the album Brand New Vision?
Like mine personally, or like all the guys?
Yours personally, I think. Yeah.
This is gonna get really, 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 really depressing. But I was not in a bad way. When we first started doing the album, around the time I was on tour with Andy Black, because that was when it kind of. This is like when we were just writing to write. We weren't even signed to Hopeless or anything, and I was in this really awful spot mentally, and I just couldn't really. My life kind of felt like I couldn't really get a grip on it, and I just needed a change, which is very interesting because the album's called Brand New Vision, and my headspace was kind of like I just wanted to write something that I would want to hear to help me feel better, which is super like crazy thinking about, because I never really thought about putting myself in that position to help others, you know. So the start of the album cycle, I would say, because there's different eras of the album of writing. So like the era of like Into the Dark, Personal, Apolog. I'm trying to think of what other ones too. We had some demo songs that didn't make it on the record, but like that era at the start, I was in honestly like a really low spot, and like anyone who knew me personally, like in my small little bubble, knew that I couldn't really put my finger on it. I was just kind of felt a certain way about my life, and was just kind of not in a good spot, and I didn't really like how I felt towards myself. And as the album kept going on, though, up until this point now, I feel like my life, it sounds cheesy, but my life does really have like a brand new vision, and it has a new perspective. And I can also speak for John and Andy, where during the writing of this album, we all went through, excuse me, these crazy life events. And John got sober. Like he just marked his like first like a year sober, which was like the writing of this album. And Andy just had some crazy surgery stuff, and it all kind of, we all had our own little things we were dealing with, but our coping mechanism was writing this album for people, and because if it can help change us when us writing it, I can't imagine what it can do for people listening to it. So that was like, we were writing this to make it better for the people, not only the people involved, but the people listening. So
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear you guys are all doing better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
life is great, man. It sounds crazy. We have so much cool stuff lined up too. Like, can't talk about it obviously, but like, it's gonna be insane, and we're doing a bunch of cool collaborations, and yeah, we just did a cool, sick interview for Roxanne that's out now, and it's cool. It's really cool to watch, like when I joined the band, to like where it's at now and everything involved. So
Yeah, because you have that outside view from like where the band was before you joined, and then you joined and it blew up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's weird to even hear that though, because like, yeah, when I joined the band, like we were like, it was such a DIY band, you know, and we were just recording our own music and printing our own merch with a silk screen, like doing the grind. Like we did that, and I was 19 or 20 when I joined the band, which was a couple years ago. So yeah, it was pretty crazy. I was just like, I was a kid. So
yeah. So what band or artist influences do you think you can hear the most on this record?
Definitely, like, I think you kind of have to get in the mindset of who each of us like are as musicians and influences, and how it comes together. John is 100% like a Billboard top 20. Like he mainly listens to pop music. Zara Lawson, Post Malone, like stuff like that. That's like, or The Weeknd, or that's, if you hear in his vocals, he's very like, that's how he interprets stuff, and that's how he listens to it. And then I come from a more like ska and punk background, and that is about. I'll also listen to like Bring Me the Horizon and heavy bands like Meshuggah, and like that kind of gives it, like, I feel like John brings the popness to it, even when his vocal production and how we structure songs. And then I'll come in with like these super intricate drum parts, or like this like heavier mindset. And then Andy comes in, and he is 100% like AFI, Rise Against, like minor keys, you know. Like if you think about like the like A Million Pieces, like him writing that piano part, I picture like a Rise Against like guitar lead as that. Like that's so Andy, you know. And then yeah, so it's the influences. It all comes from, it's three separate, completely different hubs coming together to create what Point North is, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's, I feel like if you took one piece of the, it's kind of, it's sad to say, but it's also real. You know, I feel like if you took one third out of it, it wouldn't sound like the way it does. You know.
Yeah.
So it's cool. It's like like Gasoline and Ghost to My Home and Never Coming Home, and the new album, like Into the Dark, that's a byproduct of the three of us like doing our own personal touch onto it to create what it is, which is so cool, and I'm glad people like it. It's just the most genuine expression of like how our brains work musically, you know.
Yeah. Oh, that's so neat. All right. So what made you choose the name Brand New Vision, and is there any meaning behind the cover art?
So yes. So people don't realize, like, the Brand New Vision name, that was kind of, it kind of ties into the story of like the character on all our on our EPs. So his name is Drax, and Drax, basically the whole story behind Drax is it kind of starts with like the Ghost in My Home like cover, where it's the color of like the retrograde era, but he's covered by a sheet because he's like a robot. And then in Retrograde, it's like with the singles, it's the Gasoline Flower, and then Retrograde came out, and it was like Drax is basically a robot in this world, but he is kind of the outcast of this robot world. And if you look on the cover of Retrograde, he's touching the flower, and his hand is turning human, and it's because Retrograde, his whole entire journey through it is finding like he's gaining emotion again, and he's becoming a human. And it's all about like his journey through that. So Brand New Vision ties into it. The album art is him touching a human being, and they're both, he found another outcast to like that feels emotion, and they're touching hands, and they're becoming both becoming humans again, and like on this journey together, and it's a brand new vision, like of the world around them. You know, it all is this crazy like intertwined story, which ties into like the next couple albums. You know, it's like our version of like a Pink Floyd esque. Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
it's
So
not just like cool album art. It's like it has a whole story to it. Yeah.
so the
Yeah.
story is going to continue for the next couple albums.
Yeah. It's all one thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. So
Alright.
you already have those like planned out and done, or
Yeah. They've been planned out since like before Retrograde.
Holy
wow.
shit. All right.
Jesus. Okay. That's
Um,
crazy.
But I remember we all sat. I'll never forget. Like it was like our old like the Retrograde lineup of Point North. Like we all sat down and we're like, here's like what we want to do. Here's our like we had like this idea of like here's what we want the art to look like, and here's what we want. That's a story, because to us, Point North is more than just the three of us. It just so happens to be like we just so happen to be the three that like make the ideas come to life and express them in our songs and our ideas. But Point North is this character. Point North is the music. Point North is the listeners. That's what it is. So yeah, it's pretty crazy too. And sorry, I talk a lot. I just get very excited.
you're all good.
No, you're fine.
So John's, I think I may be wrong. I think it's John's second cousin. Her name's Emily, and she does all the art for us. Like, so it's like in the family, and like she's done all the art for us. She did our poster for the live show, and she's like all this crazy stuff. And yeah, it's really tight knit and intertwined and all planned out strategically. Yeah.
Yeah,
That is
that's
so
awesome.
cool.
Yeah. I love it. So what song on you did touch on this a little, but what song took the longest to write, and then what's your favorite off the record?
The longest to write. Probably No One's Listening,
Okay.
because my favorite off the record is Brand New Vision. I think that's like, it's like opening track. I remember the first time I heard that song, I like cried, because I was like, this is the coolest fucking shit. Like, I'm so stoked about this. Like, this is something that, like, it was like the cherry on top for me that made me be like, okay, I really, like, fucking, like, I already believed in it, but I was like, damn, like, this gets me so excited, and I feel like I'm so ready for people to hear this now, you know?
Mhm.
Or A Million Pieces. That was probably the second one. But No One's Listening originally was a song called Remedy. And Remedy was, like, this very poppy, like, hip-hoppy song. And we wrote that at a time in the band where we were kind of like in a different phase, you know, and as we matured, not only as people and grew as people, but musically as well, we found out that the song doesn't tie to us well, and if it's not real to us, we're just not going to put it out, you know, we're just not going to do it for like, oh, we'll think it do well. It's like, no, we just don't believe in it. So we literally, I'll never forget, we had gone back and forth on that song for so long. And then John took my drums, because the song was already recorded. He had taken my drums from that song, and like he's like, I'm gonna do a whole new song based around your drums. And he like skeletoned out No One's Listening. And then it was like we like chopped up the parts and stuff like that. So my drums, I don't know if I should say this, but like my drums for No One's Listening are like the drums for another song that was never used, but we restructured around to have No One's Listening. So that song probably took the longest. If that song, in the continuation for the Remedy and that song probably took like a year and a half to get down to what it was.
Damn. All right.
Wow.
That's
All right.
that's my favorite off the record, so I'm happy to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I love that song.
I'm sorry to break your heart to let you know it was a different song before. So.
It's all good.
But yeah, I'm glad you dig it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you actually had like other tracks that you just kind of put to the side. Are there any others that you just kind of didn't include on the album? And would you ever consider releasing them on like an EP or just dropping them as singles on their own?
Maybe. So I don't think we could drop singles right now because we have so many like collaborations lined up that we're gonna do. Like it's all kind of like this crazy rollout. So we wouldn't do that. There is probably like 2 albums worth of songs that aren't used.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
And there's songs. Even from before I joined the band, there's like these crazy like pop, like straight up pop punk songs, like no production, no hip hopness, like no none of like the Point North stuff that you think of. Like it's more like A Light in the Dark Place, like our EP.
Mm-hmm.
It's more that style, and then there's more of like the retrograde style. There's probably like 2 albums worth of songs that are never going to see the light of day. That it's just that we just like can listen to on our own, and like no one that has them or anything. I don't even think like our management like has like the songs. It's just literally us. Like we can just like like no one's ever going to hear these, so it's like our little secret.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Wait, so they don't have any production in them? They're just kind of like just baseline.
I would say about like 11 of the songs are just like punk songs, and then there's a whole like other albums worth of stuff that like has production on them, and like it's like you could put those on retrograde, and they would fit the album. They just didn't make it.
Okay.
All right.
Wow. Yeah.
So
crazy, right?
Yeah.
Very. Yeah.
So you have a couple of collabs on this record with Dwayne and Kellen Quinn. Can you tell me how those happened?
So those both kind of happened in the same way. So I'll start with Kellen. So with Kellen, John had helped out engineer Sleeping with Sirens' last record, Feels to Be Lost.
Okay.
He was like an engineer, and he would assist on some production of the record, and he was in the studio, and John was just playing Point North songs, and Kellen was like, what is this? And John was like, oh, this is my band. And Kellen was like, I fucking love this. Like, can we work together one day? And then we had gotten the offer for the Sleeping tour, and we were kind of like, what if we did a song with Kellen? And we put it out right before the tour, and he came out and did the song on tour, and it literally just lined up perfectly. But I think that was as simple as like Kellen was in LA to do emo night, and John literally texted him, and he just came over and did his verse, and then that was the song.
So
and then
wow.
Brand New Vision with Dwayne came about because John and Dwayne were hanging out one day. This is all because like everyone, like people don't realize like everyone's just friends. Like these are people that we would see regularly, you know.
Yeah.
And John was hanging out with Dwayne. I think they were doing some music stuff, and John was just like playing some shit he had wrote, and Dwayne was like, whoa, like this is sick, like we should do something one day. And then when it came time to Brand New Vision, we wanted like a rap feature, and this is like little inside stuff. We knew Dwayne was going to be signed to Hopeless, so Hopeless really liked the idea, and they were like, his first release could be like a collaboration with Point North for the album release to be good press, you know, and it all just lined up, like it really did, and that's kind of how that happened too. It was literally like everyone was just hanging out, and then Kellen and Dwayne were like, I love your band, like let's do something, you know, and then that's kind of how it happened.
Okay,
wow,
that's awesome.
Oh, that's wholesome.
And then talking about that title track a little bit more, what made you guys like have a feature on that track specifically? Because I haven't seen many bands like have a title track and then have a feature on it as well, and then also to open up with that feature.
It honestly, and it sounds so strange, I think it was just the vibe. Like it was just like the vibe was like everyone we showed that song was like, this is so sick, we love this, and we didn't think twice about it. We were like, yeah, why not put it as like the first song? Why not have it be the title track? Like it's so, like you just said, like bands don't really do that, so we were like, okay, now we gotta do that. Like it's like it's such a vibe, and I think that sounds really cheesy and kind of dumb, but it really just like felt so natural, and we didn't think twice about it. We were just kind of like, cool, like let's just like, yeah, let's do the feature, let's put it out. Like didn't think twice. The label loved it. Dwayne's whole team loved it, and it just like all fell into place so easily.
Yeah,
Wow.
I thought it was very interesting and very different that you guys opened up the record with those two features like back to back. So
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and it was just funny because like now you say that, now I'm thinking about it, but like now I'm thinking twice, but like no, it's cool. Like it just worked out. Yeah, it just felt right. So yeah.
Yeah, it sounded good, so it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as it sounds good, people dig it. So
Yeah. So, is there a certain feeling you want your listeners to have while going through the album?
I think more a sense of unity than a sense of completion within themselves, because we wrote this record so people can realize, like look, there's a lot of problems in the world, and kind of tying back to the Drax character, there's a lot of problems in the world. Clearly now, we didn't know this, but like as we're writing it, but like clearly now more than ever. And we just want people to realize that you're not alone. And no matter, there's a lot of problems out there in the world, but like, there's always going to be people that are here to listen to you and help get along the way and help you, just really kind of like, how do I say it? Like, be there for you. And that's what I want people to feel like their voice does matter, because it does matter, and that they're not alone, and they can just, it's hard to explain without, I want to say this right, but yeah, I just want people to feel like they're not alone, and they have a voice, and that their voice matters more than anything in the entire world. And I just wish people realize that they deserve, no matter, like, as long as you're here and you're breathing and you're alive, like, you matter. And like, if you wake up every day, you're still here for.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right.
That's what I want people to realize. And I always tell people that, like your voice is just as important as the next person, even if you don't feel that way.
Yeah.
It kind of ties into, like, it's like a brand new vision. It's a breath of fresh air, and like with the Drax character, it's like this like, he's going through it too, so you, even if like you can only confine to him, like, he's going through it too with you, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So since live shows can't be played right now, how else do you guys plan on connecting with the fans? I know you guys did the live stream. You're doing the listening party tonight through the record.
Yep.
So
yeah.
How else?
That live stream concert was fun. I think we definitely do that again.
Okay.
But I don't know, like, just like doing the listening party, and then doing more like, just like Zoom call stuff, and more live show events and just stuff like that, and going live on Instagram and doing more like cool release videos. We've been doing a lot of like live stream stuff with like Adobe Radio, and doing takeovers for like the noise, and just like cool stuff, and
Yeah.
It is really hard. So we're just, people don't realize, like, every day there's always like a bunch of stuff we have to do, and like it's like a business for us, which is the absolute blessing. And just little things like that, like listening parties, the live stream concert. Well, I 100% think we'll do it again, because that was so much fun to do, and it went off so well. Like, it was perfect.
Sick. All right. So speaking of live music, kind of, the last tour you guys went on was with Sleeping with Sirens. How did that happen, and what was that experience like?
The experience was insane. All the bands on the tour were nothing but great. Shout out to Belmont, shout out to Set It Off, shout out to Sleeping. Like, those guys were all like, that, like, to us, they were like the most, I have nothing but nice things to say about them from our personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I can't speak for other people, but that tour was just insane. It was cool to like watch us, like, our fans come out and like show like the tour package to see like what we bring to the table, and then now it's like, and then all the new fans that came from that. And mind you, at the same time, Into the Dark was like on the radio, and we were doing the song with Kellen live every night. So it was just this. I will say, I can sum it up by saying it was the perfect tour to be the last tour we did before this happened, That came about because I think it tied back to John doing the Sleeping record and helping with that. We realized that, like, we just had established such a good connection. And then I remember we were on tour with Stan Atlantic, and we were at the Mall of America. I'll never forget it. It was the day before we announced we were signed to Hopeless. And it was like, we were celebrating the Hopeless signing, like, because Heartbeat was going to drop the next day with the video, and it was this crazy thing. And then we got an offer from our agent, Daniel, who was like, yeah, you guys got the offer for the Sleeping tour in January or February. And I remember we all were like jumping around and crazy. We're like, this is so cool. We're freaking out, And then, and then even thinking back to like where the band was in October of last year to now, here we are, it's everything has skyrocketed like so fast, and it's just, but it's like, it's cool, man. I'll never forget that. That's how the offer happened. We just all like
That's so
screaming
cool.
and like jumping around like at the Mall of America. And we're all like, oh, like us on cloud nine, you know.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
but the tour was insane. That was awesome. Shout out to, like I said, shout out to Kellen and All Sleeping and like Set Off and Belmont Boys and like those guys. Those guys, like I said, to us as Point North, those guys were great to us. They were nothing but, you know, gems. And it's funny because I've known the Set It Off guys like in passing for a while. Like we live like down the street from each other,
Mm.
and
Oh, wow.
I always would see Cody at the gym, you know, or like Max like as a drummer. Like we lived in that drum world, and then so the tour with them, Set It Off, I was like, this has been a long time coming, you know.
Yeah,
So
that happened. Yeah. Funny that you say it was like the perfect tour to end tours, because the New Jersey show was one of my favorite shows from 2020 with the few I got to go to. So I very much enjoyed that.
Starland Ballroom.
Yeah.
That show was awesome. That was such a good show. Yeah, that was sick.
Yeah.
The East Coast is Point North's best market like ever. Anytime we go there, like the shows, it feels like headlining shows. Like when we play there, it's insane.
Well, maybe post-COVID, you guys will be headlining those venues. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we had, I'll say it, we had a whole headline tour set out like
Oh.
for this fall that we were gonna do, and then it just didn't happen. And then now it's because we're so like we don't know what's gonna, we just don't know. Especially like even in the States, you know, we'll probably tour like the UK before we do the States again, you know.
Mm. Well,
But
I kind of figured that the headlining tour was coming because you guys were tweeting like, who should we bring out on a headliner? I remember that.
it was
tweet.
crazy. We had like we had like, it was a 4-band tour. We had like 2 of the guys lined up, opening acts that we like were good to go, and then we were just trying to get a third one. By the time the third one, we were getting around to like a direct support band.
Mm-hmm.
You know, off, and we were like, okay, like at least we didn't, you know, like, and then another band was like locked in, and we could, you know, you start sending the budgets out and like prepping for it. So yeah,
Mm.
it was crazy. We had a whole year of touring planned. We had a massive summer tour that we were gonna do too, like massive, and then because we were gonna do the Grayscale Mayday Parade tour,
Yep.
which was gonna be insane, and then do a massive summer tour, and then do a fall like headliner, and then probably go to the UK in like the winter. But it just now, you know, now it's not that. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So
it's all good. Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Mhm.
so speaking of live shows, what are your top 3 songs you're looking forward to playing live off of this album?
You said top 3 songs.
Yeah,
Mhm.
looking forward to playing live off the album.
No One's Listening, definitely. Brand New Vision. I guess I'm gonna take out like Heartbeat and Into the Dark because I've played those songs a million times live already.
All right. All right.
So probably Brand New Vision, No One's Listening, and Lethal. Lethal is such a song that like it's such a little hidden gem of the record. People love that shit, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, probably those 3. And we've already played Brand New Vision like on the live concert, but like when it's a crowd and people are in your face and going off and singing along, it's a whole different vibe. So.
Yeah. All right. So, where do you see the band in the next 5 years?
Oh man, I don't even know. I think
That's fair.
it's been. We'll definitely have a second record out. Probably working on a third record. Just doing crazy shows. It's and I hate saying it because like it sounds really weird, but seeing where Point North has gone from retrograde to our first album, like, and the growth that's already happened. You know, I think we're at like 700,000 monthly listeners, and like this crazy, like, I think it's gonna. I don't know what to say. I just hope that people still love us, and I hope that people like. I hope people still dig it, and I hope that we still have good heads on our shoulders, and you know, and our missions and our values stay the same. I hope that's where we see us, you know, and playing some cool shows, traveling the world, eating good food, having good company, you know,
Yeah.
meeting great people. I think it's all about just that, you know. As long as we get to do that in 5 years, like that's what matters the most. So
Yeah.
we've already like that's like success to us.
Yeah.
Wow, wholesome.
So I want to ask, you've been posting drum covers on social media since quarantine hit. What gave you the idea to do that?
Literally, like, I had like this little drum studio at my school, and it really, like, I don't know how to say it, like, yeah, it was this little studio that I had, and when COVID hit, I, like, lost it because we couldn't use the school, and then now, but now, like, I don't know how do I say it. I, like, ran into a spot. I don't know. It kind of made me realize, like, people don't have live music, but people want to see people play music.
Mm-hmm.
So I started posting the covers, and they did really well, and I was kind of like, when I first started to now, they've gotten so much better, like, with the quality and the sound quality and the video work, and it was almost like it gave me something to do to showcase, like, my abilities and make people happy. And I know people who love them a lot and, like, look forward to them. So I'm like, now it's like, it's not an obligation, but I feel like, yeah, like, I think I'm doing something right. Like, I want to keep doing this to kind of make people dig them and be happy with them. So
Yeah.
All right.
Wonderful. So for the last couple questions, we're actually going to shift away from music and go straight to death row. So, if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with a drink?
Oh, this is great.
Thanks.
I never thought about this, so you're putting me in the hot seat. Last meal, like we said, with a drink?
Mm-hmm.
With a drink, yes.
Root beer float as the drink.
Solid.
100%. And then meal? Ooh. I guess it doesn't matter, because I'd be like, I want to eat something healthy, but I'm going to fucking die anyway.
Exactly.
I would say, and I'm sorry to my vegans and vegetarians out there, a 16-piece of, like, crispy KFC with, like, mashed potatoes, like a root beer float, and cheese curds. A lot of cheese curds. That would be it. The 16-piece of KFC, cheese curds, a root beer float. Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds amazing. Oh my god.
I think that will just kill me alone.
Just saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just saying. I'm like, oh, my heart is stopping just thinking about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god.
So if you could live in one fictional world for a week, where would you live?
Well, you said one place in the world?
Fictional world.
Fictional world.
Yeah.
Oh, Narnia.
Okay.
Taste. Yeah.
Narnia. Yeah. I want to have that. Like, what's that food that the dude eats?
The little things, right? That
yeah. I want that. That I would just do it just for that. That sounds so nice.
Honestly, same. Like, I've always wanted to try them because they made it look so good in the movie and they made it sound so good in the audiobook. So I was like, okay, so I want one. But then every time I see them, they're like super overpriced. So I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna get that.
You need like the movie version. Like I need I need like the one that was on set. Like
Exactly. I need to also be on the chariot as well, eating it there. That's the only way I can eat it. Yeah.
Yeah. So Narnia is my answer. Yeah.
Good choice. So I have the honor of asking the last question, and every single person we've spoken to said it's the most important question. What's your favorite color?
Okay. Wow. Yeah. I guess I have three, but if I had to choose one, So I only wear like black, white, and gold.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would say gold is my favorite color.
Gold's a nice color.
Like, I have like a gold watch and I have this little necklace, and so I'm wearing black pants, Converse, and a white shirt. Like, so it's like kind of all ties into it. I would say gold. Yeah, but if I had to choose another color besides those three, red. I love red.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I had to step out and like choose like a primary color or something, like red. That's like, yeah.
Okay.
All right, solid.
So as Gary said, that's all the questions we have today. Is there anything you'd like to plug?
What's up?
Is there anything you'd like to plug?
Honestly, just like just Stream Branded Vision. Shout out to our team. Shout out to K Management, Peter Hill, and Daniel McCartney, and our crew, and shout out to Niles and Jesse and Andrew and John and Andy. Most importantly, my brothers up north, and but most importantly to everyone, I just want to tell everyone listening and watching this that you please take care of yourself, man. For real. Like, please take care of yourself and take care of your mind, take care of your body, because at the end of the day, the only person you're stuck with your entire life is yourself. And so you need to really take care of yourself. And if something's not right, it's not right. And just, I don't know, keep a lookout for yourself. That's that. Even if like everyone watched this whole entire thing and didn't take anything from it, take this. Please be kind to yourself and take care of yourself, because that's really fucking important. It really is.
That's so wholesome. Great way to end it.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for sitting down with us. This has been Sage from Point North, and we're the Good Noise Podcast.